Dave Faulkner is fastidiously mixing his rock band's latest album.
Is there anything else earlier than that?
By hand, by ear, by feel.
Here we go.
It's how the Hoodoo Gurus have produced 4 decades of hits.
All right, let's do a little goose on the vocal there now.
And now, in the age of machine learning, Dave says it's what separates art from artificial intelligence.
I mean, a robot can simulate what feelings are about. It's the way you synthesise it and make it real for the moment and express it in a cogent human way that makes it art.
As AI-made music proliferates, the plight to protect intellectual property takes him back to the early days.
We've had people like jingle writers appropriate our sound. For example, I think Like Wow Wipeout was copied and, it sounded a lot like it, but it wasn't it. The ins and outs of copyright and things like that were very much rammed home to me early on in our career. And that's a human doing it. But now it's got a machine that's automated to do it even better and to do it without you being able to detect what they've done. And in fact, they are stealing it as we speak. And we're not happy about it.
Generative AI is progressing faster than reform, and for years platforms have been freely using data, including music, to train their large language models, some of which can seamlessly generate music. For instance, this synthetic tune. And until recently, most artists have had virtually no idea if their intellectual property, their sound, has been used to feed these machines. But a new tool by American publication The Atlantic suggests millions of songs have ended up inside these systems in these data sets with no explicit permission or payment.
What is a surprise and what is still a bit shocking is the way in which the law is simply not being followed at all, and there doesn't seem to be any really serious repercussions from that.
For instance, if you type in Hoodoo Gurus,
lo and behold, a few of them were using Hoodoo Guru songs. So I think that's probably our whole catalogue.
At that point, did it feel more personal, Dave, than...
Totally makes it personal. It's our hearts and our minds and our creativity that goes into that, and that belongs to us to determine where it goes.
We searched the databases ourselves and the list seems endless. Every Australian artist you see here appears to have had their music mined, from acclaimed First Nations artist Gurrumal to singer-songwriter Paul Dempsey, and in some cases, it's entire catalogues of work.
And that's just, it's completely unjust. And unjust is, that is the correct word, because we have a law at the moment and, everyone has to adhere to that law. For some reason, we're talking about exempting it for one gigantically wealthy industry.
Paul Dempsey is referring to the regulatory tug-of-war that's been happening here in Canberra for several years.
A lot of the discussion in copyright has happened behind closed doors by stakeholders arguing with each other or arguing with government about what they say they need.
The tech sector has aggressively lobbied for changes to copyright law that would give AI systems freer access to use Australian content.
I think that the benefits of the large language models and so forth that we've got outweigh those issues.
The industry's most prominent voice has consistently warned that Australia could otherwise miss out on the AI revolution and big dollars from data centres.
They will get built over the next 5 years, and I hope they get built here.
The industry's argument is that, you've got to strike that balance and to innovate and to push ahead.
Oh, please. Stop this innovate word. It's just nonsense.
A crime is being committed every day of the week. Copying that has been done without people's permission and without payment. That is criminal.
Dean Ormston is the boss of APRA AMCOS, a century-old body managing rights and the intellectual property of musical artists. Last October, the government publicly reassured the sector.
We would not be introducing any changes that would water down the Copyright Act. And those protections are fundamental to Australian creatives.
I thought this conversation was over. What's changed?
What's happened is the multinational companies have retreated, regrouped, reattacked.
I'm hearing some pretty concerning reports that the government is preparing to do a major backflip on its earlier promise.
Last week, speculation in Canberra was rife after Senator David Pocock attributed these concerns to a whistleblower.
Minister, it's been put to me that the government is in fact considering competing proposals allowing some form of carve-out or an extension to the licensing system in exchange for a new creative arts fund, and that the Prime Minister intends to announce this plan on or around the 15th of July.
Despite Innovation Minister Tim Ayres disputing Pocock's claims as
your reckless speculation about these issues,
it stirred a wasp's nest of creative sector representatives, who this morning converged on Canberra, calling for mediation.
We need to hold firm, we're open and ready to do business.
And I think we've got to separate...
The Tech Council said it hopes a path forward can be found that enables AI to be developed here in Australia in the national interest, while ensuring fair outcomes for creators and the creative industries.
You know, the tech industry loves to say, you know, move fast and break things, but it doesn't. They don't have to break everything. You know, it's not a condition of progress.
Attorney General Michelle Rowland told 7:30 there are no plans to weaken copyright protections, and she encourages both sectors to find a workable and sensible solution.
I expect them to stick to their word, and not just this government, but successive governments. It shouldn't change. It doesn't need to change.
But some academics believe otherwise.
Copyright law does need to change. Australian law is way too complicated, it's way too complex, and it doesn't necessarily secure good returns to Australian creators in any case. But we also need other kinds of AI. We need AI for research and development, and we don't want to be stuck in a position where we're kind of locked into having to use AI models which are made overseas.
Is there any world in which there is a balance or a deal to be struck?
No. What deal? What's the deal? What? Someone wants to rob you, so you let them in the front door and say, help yourself. Is that the answer? I'd rather call a policeman and say, don't let them in, please, or take them to jail if you catch them with our stuff.